As a GEPF member, you might be incredibly concerned or perhaps even afraid about what would take place with regards to the Eskom state of disaster. Now, I've had a few members reaching out to me for support, concerned about, is it possible that GEPF would actually fund Eskom? And if that takes place, is their money going to be depleted? What happens to their money at the time that they actually want to leave, whether it's retirement or resignation? Now, if that is a concern for you, this video is perfect for you. Now, I'm Devan Naik, and I've been helping GEPF members since 2004. And the first thing that I want you to do is just cut away the noise, right? I want you to start to analyze the facts. And let's take a closer look at what I mean. You see, GEPF is a defined benefit fund. And you might already know this. It's a defined benefit fund, meaning everything that's happening around GEPF is all happening around formulas, right? So the benefits that you are getting, whether it comes to your retirement or your resignation benefit, it is all determined by a formula. Meaning behind the scenes, yes, GEPF is actually investing this money. And if you head over onto their website, they tell you the places that they're actually investing. They invest in the stock exchange, and there's 4 different asset classes that they look at, the largest of which is in equities, which is a stock exchange. So behind the scenes, yes, they invested into that. But when it comes to the benefits that you are receiving, everything is calculated based on a formula, right? And that formula takes into account your years of service, your salary scale, all of those factors in order to determine that. So that should be giving you some bit of comfort that it's not actually an impact on the market, right? And you'll see this. Your statement should be progressively growing because behind the scenes, the investment's happening, but what you are getting is a formula-based amount. So that should give you some bit of comfort. But then I've had some members explaining to me that there's no comfort at all when it comes to that, mainly because GEPF is in control of the formula. Now, let me explain what their concerns are, right? So GEPF or the trustees determine the formula. Now, what had transpired on October, let's put this down in a date, on the 26th of October, 2022, you might have received this. Members were given a notice that the formula that they use for calculating resignation benefits was going to be changed, right? When was that formula change happening? 1st November. And this is what members were upset about, right? Raised concerns with me. The formula change was going to take place on the 1st of November. It meant that they didn't really have any chance, 2022, they didn't really have any chance. If you look at it, it's five days. But technically, because of it being inside of a weekend, it was merely 3 working days notice that the GEPF had supplied in order for them to make the change. Now, what had happened as a result of this, I've had some members losing hundreds of thousands. In fact, I've had one member saying the difference in the resignation value was as much as 1.3 million. So it was significant. And this is where members reach out to say, look, this is concerning because yes, on the one end, there's security in terms of GEPF being a defined benefit fund. It's all worked according to formulas, even though the money is invested behind the scenes, but they know that their value is growing constantly. But on the flip side, the concern is in the case of resignation, especially, if GEPF supplies a very short notice for adjusting the value, then they sort of lose control, right? There's no real benefit behind it. Interestingly enough, the formula change only happened for resignation. So the change only happened for members who want to resign. The change did not happen for members who want to retire. So here as well, members reached out to say, look, this doesn't seem right because it's only affecting them if they want to take control of their money, if they want to use their money on their own. And GEPF is almost pushing them to retire, to say, hey, retire because you're not going to be affected. And many of them had expressed concerns about leaving the money inside of GEPF. So here's another point for you to bear in mind, right? Whichever route you look at this, there really are only 2 choices you can make. You could either retire or resign from GEPF, right? Retire or resign. Those are your 2 options. Unless, of course, touch wood, you end up passing away. We won't go down that part, but just 2 avenues, right? Or becoming disabled, but we are having a look at retiring or resigning. Which means if you are concerned about GEPF handling the money, bearing in mind that even if you opt to retire, you basically are making a conscious decision for GEPF to continue investing the money. Right? Because either route, the money is going to be invested, whether you retire or resign, those funds are going to be invested. If you retire, it's just staying within GEPF. Now, if that is a concern for you, then it means your only option now becomes to resign. But there's a lot of gray clouds around resignation, right? A lot of members had lost tax because they were not given the right advice. A lot of members had lost money because of bad investments. So what you want to do at this point in time, instead of looking for things that are going to concern you, start to see where you can get information, right? Knowing that your next option is resign, and I'm not suggesting that you should be resigning. What I am suggesting here is that you take the time to empower yourself, right? Because at some point in time, you're going to make one of these two decisions. You're either going to retire or resign. The biggest challenge that GEPF members have is they leave this to the last moment. And if you leave it to the last moment, it just becomes overwhelming. And this is where you could make the wrong decision. So if you are aiming at resigning, what you want to start to have a look at is how can you empower yourself? So what are the things that could cause you to run out of money? You want to look at how can you start to save on tax? How can you start to invest your money more securely? How can you ensure that you are getting an income for life? How can you ensure that you are able to leave behind a legacy? So when you start to do your homework like this is when you're starting to gain access to the information you need in order to make a proper comparison between retiring. So once you gain access to the information here, you can then compare it against what you know is in place if you're up to retire to see which route is best for you. Now, there's so many different ways to get started, and you shouldn't have any excuses because a lot of that information is available right here on this YouTube channel. In fact, I've taken the questions that a lot of members have shared with me, and I've posted YouTube videos answering those questions. It's general information, but enough information to empower you to make the right choice. So it's all right here on this channel. The only thing that you have to do is make the time to watch and view and empower yourself with the knowledge. Now, this is again something that's in your control. As I said earlier, you could opt to do nothing. If you do not do nothing, you still are going to have to make that decision whether you should retire or resign. And this is where a lot of members, again, made mistakes because they left everything to the last moment. So in terms of what would happen, what's going to take place in terms of Eskom, is GEPF going to fund them? It's something I can't tell you because it depends mainly on the trustees, right? The trustees could decide to invest money with Eskom. The trustees could decide that they're not going to invest. And you also won't have any control over that because that is a decision based on what the trustees would take. What you do have control over is, again, which route you want to take, right? Whether you should be retiring or resigning from GEPF. And if retiring is not an option, if you want to take control of your funds and you want to manage that money on your own, then the way to go about it is by empowering yourself with the information in order to compare. And you do this by analyzing things like tax, investing, income, and legacy. Again, that information is available for you right here. I also host a Retire versus Resign Masterclass. So if you're looking for a shortcut in which we're comparing both options, retiring or resigning, you can register for the Masterclass if you qualify, in which case I'll be guiding you through the differences between the two, and then you can see the one that's most appropriate for you. Now, one more thing, important point that I want to share with you is remember, your set of circumstances is different to your colleagues. It's different to another GEPF member. It's different to GEPF members I've assisted. Now, what you want to do is analyze the information for yourself based on your set of circumstances. And then you determine which route is best for you, whether you should be retiring or resigning. Why you want to do this is someone else's set of circumstances might be different. Maybe you have a bond, perhaps they don't. Maybe they have a lot of debt and you don't. And all these little differences play a major role in you making that choice again on whether to retire or resign. So again, coming back, that decision, the situation that's taking place with regards to Eskom, or it could be, for that matter, any other state-owned entity, that is left entirely on GEPF whether they would invest money or not. It's a decision that you might not have a lot of control over. The control that you have over is over the things that you have, right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't consider retiring, because if you are happy with the benefits of retiring, then that's an avenue that you can consider. All that I want to do for you in this particular video is tell you that you've only got this choice to make, right? You've only got the choice to make on retiring or resigning. Give yourself the time in order to empower yourself to make the right decision. And you can do so by using the resources on this channel. You can do so by using the resources available on a Google search, engaging with your colleagues, getting access to information from other financial advisors. Do whatever you can to get the information that you need in order, again, to decide whether you should be retiring or resigning, because that's how you take control of your money. Now, I'm Devan Naika, and again, I help GEPF members make their most important financial decision, which is whether they should retire or resign from GEPF. If you found the video helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Post a comment below. Is there something else that's concerning you about retiring or resigning? Let me know by putting a comment below. Again, if you found this video beneficial, give me a thumbs up so I know that this has been helpful for you. And if you've not already done so, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so that you're able to get access to these videos as soon as I produce them.